Welcome. And thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Loch Lomond 18-year-old, 46% ABV. Dustin, aged in ex-American cask, ex-refill bourbon, I guess would that
Probably
be mean? And I hear these are lightly peated, is that right?
I think there's just a hint of peat in these. Now, they're one of these distilleries that does grain. They do malt, and they don't follow the Scotch Malt Whisky Society rules. They're kind of if you had to pick a distillery that was kind of in John Glazier's Compass Box heart, I think these guys would fall into that.
Rebels.
Yeah, they're a little bit rebel-like. However, they do like to color their whiskey, because that is definitely not ex-American.
That is not rebel.
And not at 18 years old.
I tell you what, it is maybe color, but it's not chill filtered, which I always like, even at 46% ABV, because it can be a crapshoot.
That's more important, let's be honest.
Agreed. So I'd rather you non-chill filter. I'd rather you not chill filter the whiskey over not color the whiskey.
This is a distillery that's been getting a lot of hype lately because they've really improved their quality in the last couple of years.
All right, Dustin, let's get to it. Ex-American oak, lightly seasoned.
That's what it smells like, Mike. That's my first thought, was like lightly seasoned ex-American oak.
Yeah.
I am definitely getting a little bit of
pear.
There's
soap.
Soap, and yeah, there's a slightly earthy note that I'm thinking maybe there's elements of peat there that's coming through.
For sure. It's almost like peat in the water or something like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's super light.
It's almost like, do you ever have that astronaut ice cream?
No.
So basically, it's like freeze-dried ice cream.
Oh, Dippin' Dots?
No. It's not cold or wet. It's actually it's almost cardboard-esque.
Your parents didn't like you, did they?
I had it when I went to the space thing, where they were showing off and this is what the astronauts ate, because you remember they can't send anything up if it's cold or wet, because it just floats away.
Get you, sir.
That vanilla chalky space ice cream note, getting that here on the nose.
I think that's not a good thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's just not a. It's different.
Sure.
You could almost convince me it's smoked vanilla.
Yeah, so I do get kind of like cocoa powder at the end of a Nesquik tin.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a few marshmallows in there, too.
Yeah. So when the
also freeze-dried.
When the Nesquik tin in my house got low, you could smell like the metal or the copper, that whatever it was in. And you get a little like that twinge of that with it as well.
Yeah. The more I nose it, the more pleasant it gets, which I'm thinking maybe my nose just wasn't quite ready for this whiskey.
I'll say this. Every time I start nosing right, it gets pleasant. But initially, if I go away and come back in, I think sour. A twinge of sour.
I was going to kind of go with your mixture of slightly metallic and slightly almost like dusty mothball.
There is a metallic note to it for sure, though. There's an inside of it. Again, it's that crumbled cocoa on the side of a copper or metal tin. But
if you're looking for something kind of funky, different, this is not an unpleasant note. It's not what I'm used to, and it's definitely not something I'm thinking is exceptional.
It's funky safe.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Hear me out here. I mean, it's just a little funky.
Yeah.
But not much. It's a little earthy, a little peaty, a little sour that could get dangerous and off-putting, but nothing really goes to that level.
I like the fact that you just gently caressed my hand as you did that to just be a little creepy, but not too creepy.
You were just close, buddy. Got long fingers.
I think you nailed exactly what this is, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the nose, but there's definitely something there up front that's a little not my thing. But then again, okay.
My initial thought on the palate is to come off a little bit thin, a little bit of spice, a little bit of apple. When I swallowed, it has a nice little rush of spice and heat. A little bit of citrus, small peat. A lot of indistinct things are going on here. It's a nice whiskey. Actually, right here at the end, too, there's some type of char note that's kind of sashaying into something almost tastes sweet and pie-like.
This finish doesn't end, man.
It's a good finish. It's the best part of the whiskey so far.
Oh, it's by far the best. I mean, but it's just this thing is not ending.
So here comes spice again. Mm-hmm. Like a charred oak note. Vanilla. Yeah, wow, that's weird. Yeah, definitely the best thing was the finish. So yeah, it was kind of boring on the nose. It was safe, funky safe, as I put it. and we talked about what kind of we were picking up. It felt really thin on the palate initially and very boring.
Okay.
A little bit of lemon, a little bit of citrus, but boring other than that. But as soon as you swallow, man, I mean, that really kind of picked up the experience. It really stepped it up considerably. As a matter of fact, I just want, while you give your thoughts, I just want to take one more little sip and get that finished one more time, listening to your thoughts.
Yeah, so I actually disagree a little bit on the thinness. For 46% whiskey, I think this is actually medium high in terms of viscosity. Has a nice oak presence that comes in pretty early on. I do agree with the apple notes, really nice. Almost like a funky pears in there, maybe like they smoked a pear a little bit. That's there. Transitions into peat, builds up. In fact, actually, it's a lot peatier than I remembered it being. I've always noticed the peat, but I mean, you could argue that this might be on par with Highland Park. In my head, I was thinking this was just a little less peated than Highland Park.
Why less peated?
I think it's actually, I don't think it's that far from Highland Park. If Highland Park's 5 ppms, this is 4. I mean, they're pretty close.
They're both low.
But actually, it's got a lot of nice, and the sweetness pairs beautifully with the smoke, which then leads to that transition. The 18 years on this thing has done this thing wonders, Mike, because the amount of beautiful, nice oak, toasty element coming through here. I mean, I've had 21-year-olds that didn't do this.
Okay. There's a nice toasted note to it, especially on the finish.
Yeah, I mean, again, the age comes through plain as day. Nice fruits. Man, that finish is long. Now, I will say this. It's a little boring up front on the palate, but I do think it's richer than you're implying at the 46% level.
Yeah, I just felt thin just on the palate initially when I first swallowed, and then I got over it. So what I did, because of that 46% and what I was feeling on the palate, I was very exact and only put in 3 drops of water here.
I'm going to be real light on the water here myself.
And I could not be happier with that decision, Dustin.
Okay.
This brought up a couple of notes that I really wasn't getting in large quantities before. A beautiful vanilla.
All right, I'm going to match it 3 exact.
An oak note. They transitioned this oak note into something actually rememberable.
Okay.
And before, where I said there were a couple things, like the sour note, a couple things that were getting dangerously too close, all those are erased. It took 2 notes and moved them up. It's almost like you have an equalizer, and you're just like, oh, I don't like the way that's set. So I'm going to take away the obvious stuff that sucks, and I'm going to put the obvious stuff that I want more of. Mm-hmm. I want more base, and take this up a little bit of that out, and then this is what you have. I don't know why the water cleaned this up so much, but the water cleaned this up.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe just we needed a few moments in the glass. You know, sometimes it just needs a little time. But yeah, you know what I'm getting, Mike? Is
Sure, maybe.
I'm getting apple butter.
Butter with that vanilla.
Apple butter on toast. Mm-hmm. And then you're right, then I get vanilla.
Yeah, so I knew there was a bready note to it. I didn't want to call it like pie crumble or something like that. You said bread. I wouldn't have thought just bread, but when you said butter on bread, I was like, that's what it is.
But it's apple butter. Like, have you ever had like where they mix
sure.
butter and like
I just been more from a texture standpoint
yeah.
the smell.
Oh, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it improved it. Did it not?
Yeah, no, that oak note's really coming through now. That
oak and the vanilla are really nice.
That kind of funky thing, which part of me liked a little bit of the funk. Part of me didn't like the note.
Way down.
Let me tell you, I did not like any words that involved mothballs. That was not a positive note.
But all those went away for the most part, did they not?
No, that toast has come through. I think they're still there, but now they're just kind of like general funk, which I kind of like.
When you said toast, I agree, but then it goes well with the char note, where you can just say it's burnt toast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so easy to make that
buttered burnt toast, man.
Right.
No, and I could see where you're getting like a little bit different note. I even, I can see the pie crust thing. It's got a nice sweetness. All right, let's see if it made the palate work.
It made the nose better. I am confident in saying that. It made the nose better. Thoughts on the palate? It's 46. That's a dangerous territory.
So the finish is still the best part. Now the finish is a little more vanilla, a little more creamy, but a little shorter. Up front, it did add a drop of thinness, but again, I'm a little different than you. I think it had a little bit to give before it would be negative. Now it went from being medium high, which I think is a slight positive, to medium low, slight negative. But still fine. The peat's come down a little bit, which kind of disappoints me. I'm getting a little less smoke. Still good. I would nose it with water and drink it neat, but that's not an uncommon thing.
I'm going to give a recommendation for drinking this whiskey I've never given before.
Okay.
Not only on this channel, but ever. I recommend 2 glasses.
There you go.
I recommend a glass you drink, which is neat. Mm-hmm. I remember a glass you nose, which has a few drops of water in it. And I recommend 2 glasses of whiskey when you drink this water. Now, the nosing glass, you can drink it at the end. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But, it doesn't have to be a lot. And put a couple drops of water in it. Be gentle. And it smells beautiful and vanilla. And just drink it neat.
Now, what I have discovered, Mike...
Am I wrong?
Sometimes what we get from adding water would have happened if we just waited 20 minutes. So I bet you what you want to do with this whiskey is just pour it neat, set it aside for about 20 minutes, come back. I bet you'll get more of what we got with the water. It's my guess on the nose.
Or you can pour 2, put water in 1, and get right to it right away.
And you know what the beautiful thing about this whiskey is, Mike?
Malleable.
$95 for an 18-year-old.
Not bad.
46, non-chill filtered. And by the way, it's half that for our UK friends. So when you're over there, and actually, it's actually less than that for our Australian and Canadian friends. This is the high end of this bottle.
That's definitely good ABV, non-chill filtered, good aged whiskey for the money, for sure.
Yeah.
If you're on a whiskey budget, bang.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that's a good whiskey. All right, so where are you at as far as the whiskey score on this one?
Ooh. So I'm gonna go on the low end of what I was gonna score it. Mm-hmm. I was between 2 numbers, and I'm going 85. Mm-hmm. Really debating 86 because of the finish. Mm-hmm. But I think 85 is right, exactly where this is, which is perfectly in line with a very good, solid...
Under $100 whiskey.
Under $100, easy drinker. It's going to be appreciated by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go one step higher, Mike. Mm-hmm. You're looking for a cheap alternative to Springbank. Mm-hmm. You want something a little peaty, a little bit of funk. Now, is it different than Springbank? Absolutely. But you're trying to get in that realm of different.
If you want to get used to different types of whiskey.
This is regionally, it's not Campbelltown, but I think it's pretty close. If you look at the map.
West Highland.
It's not far from it. I think you're getting some similar notes. Barely. You are getting a slightly lightly peated whiskey. It's got a little funk to it. I think, again, we're reaching because nobody's Springbank. It's a very unique profile.
It's it's funk safe, as I mentioned before, and I still hold to that. Now, as far as the whiskey score on this one, yeah, I'm kind of the same. I was thinking 84, 85, so yeah, I'm in the same area that you're at as far as this one. I will say, though, it does have an impressive finish, and that's a fun whiskey to drink.
That's an 87, 88 finish at least.
Yeah, at least. But
really
it's definitely the showcase of this whiskey.
Yeah. The nose up front was a little off-putting. That's kind of I think that's where it's being held back.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be 86 if the nose is a little better.
Definitely smells better with water. These are our thoughts on the whiskey. I'd like to know what you guys think. You had a chance to try this one. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.